Hi folks, I'm a little bit under the weather, have a bit of a cold going on, and I'm also a little bit burnt out. uh, but thank goodness the what I've needed to do is behind me, which is the result of being burnt out currently. But I will regain my strengths and whatnot, and be just well and fine. Yeah, because for the last week I've just been going through quite a bit, but also more with two individuals. All right, the one guy being the purchaser of the house that I've been living in, which is actually my father's house. He owns most of it, and I've got some money invested in it, and so I've been selling it to the new buyer. And this guy's, yeah, that's one story there. I'll get to that. And then also a situation with a family member of mine in regards to business. And this family member of mine that I've grown up with, okay, it's hard to get into particulars and details, although I'm just thinking I should. Although I'm concerned about who comes across this, and again, I'm sharing sort of confidential, not so confidential, but more so personal information about certain individuals, which it's a bit hard from coming across, broadcasting it on the internet in a sense, and other people who may watch this who do know him, it might not be the correct medium or the correct platform, or for myself, which is ironic. In a sense, because my channel is very personal and intimate. But I mean, again, I'm sharing, and I can't quite figure out what's wrong with that. In a sense, it just happens to be a public domain, YouTube. Okay, and I'm talking about certain individuals in my life that But I also think that there's almost this type of game that goes on where we don't talk about one another, right? Sort of. And the difficulties that we have with one another. We don't speak the truth a lot of the time about our inauthentic relationships with one another, or the problems that that we're causing one another. I mean, you don't talk about your husband really, or your wife. You're not supposed to, publicly, or to not strangers, but just generally, it's like not seen as loyalty. You're not supposed to speak outside of the family, what goes on in the family, because it's just seen as a sign of betrayal. You sort of highlighting the skeletons in the closet in a way, or that which, everyone in the family's trying to suppress, and, the family's got its own unit, its own social status in a sense, and, you're not supposed to mess with that at all, and if you do, you pay a heavy price, and, you're only supposed to shine the best image and reflect and be the best example of your little family unit that you possibly can, and again deny all that which is unsightly or unpleasant or whatever it is to everybody outside. And so we have this as well, not being able, to speak directly to a person like this Nigerian actually who's buying my father's house from me. He just, as soon as he opens his mouth, whatever he says is just a lie. It's just all lies. It's like, he's been wanting me to fix certain things in the house, and he just says it's broken, right? Like the alarm system, which is not broken. It's just, he wants just a whole new alarm system, but he says it's broken. He says that everything's just broken in the house, so I have to buy a full new. One of the deals is like the pool pump. Right, and there's nothing wrong with the pool pump. There's just no water in the pool to run the pump. But he's saying it's broken, and he wants a new pool pump. And I'm like, because that was in the agreement. And I'm saying the pool pump works fine. He says, well, you can't prove it to me. I said, I can't prove it because there's no water. And he says, exactly, so it's broken. So his logic is not even there. And you try and reason with the guy, and you can't. And you know that he's lying. He knows that he's lying. But you can't, say to him, you're talking bullshit. Why? Same thing with this family member who was sabotaging me like badly in this business situation that I was in. You can't say, I know what you're doing, man. I see what you're doing. You're lying, okay? Or you're sabotaging me. Like this family member of mine, really, it came to, I was hoarse in the afternoon from shouting so much at this individual, this family member of mine, and I was doing it in a public arena. There were people around, and because I got to that point of like really putting it in their face, okay. And this is another thing: is that firstly, we have this game that you can't bring it up to people. Why? Because they don't want to hear it, okay. So like this Nigerian, firstly, if I said to him, look, you're lying, right? He's not a very stable character, and he can be like, well, I'll take you out, man. He's not take you out, but I'll make your life miserable. Basically, he's got a lot of muscle, he's got a lot of connection. You don't mess with this guy, right? And he keeps telling me that, like his sort of subtle threats in a sense, or whatever it is. And so you can't come out and say, you see, this is what I can't stand about my channel name, is that it's so unfortunate that it's my name and surname, half of my surname. So it's like anybody has to just Google me, bloody hell, and my whole channel comes up. And that sucks. Again, it's like the price you pay, in a way, the sacrifice you got to make. Anyway, so just like speaking about the truth, like bringing up the truth to people. Firstly, they don't want to hear it, and not only that, they can't understand it, and not only that, they get offended by it, and not only that, they'll attack you in return. So like, what do you do? What do you do when someone's taking outright advantage of you? And they say that, and supposedly they some, like in this, for this family member, they think they're doing it for my best interest, which is absolutely rubbish. I mean, none of it makes sense at all. Like, there's no sense to it whatsoever what they say. So it's like, you can't bring it up. I mean, they don't. What do you do about it? What do you do when you can't speak the truth to people, and you try, when you're really desperate you bring up the truth, and they don't even understand it. They can't comprehend what you're saying. So what do you do about it? Like, they can't even appreciate what you say. Not only that, but they will play you down. Okay, like you're just making a fuss out of nothing. Like this family member in particular who did this thing directly in front of witnesses, whatever it was just saying to me, for myself, I'm taking it too personally. But I want to say to the family, what you're trying to do is destroy my business, not only for the first time, but this is like, I don't know how many countless of times you tried to do it. And they'll say like, oh, you're too serious, and that's not what I'm trying to do, you just don't understand me. And I'm saying, I understand you better than you understand yourself, buddy. I understand you more than you'll probably ever understand yourself. And I know exactly what you're doing. And they'll laugh it off. Again, because this family member is still playing out childhood roles, so they just see me as sort of still young, or like a child, okay? They still stuck in childhood. They really are. And so the way they see me is, it's obviously one of my siblings, but the way they see me is as if I'm still younger than them. And they haven't grown out of that. And so this individual who I've spoken about before on my channel has there's no question, traumatized me in my upbringing, and still tries to continue to do so. They're completely unconscious of it in a certain way. I mean, I remember that one day, and this memory came to me not so long ago because of all this, of what's been happening. And I remember when I must have been about 13 or 14 years old, after my sibling had bullied me and beaten me up, I was lying on the floor crying. Again, no parents to come to the rescue in a sense, or didn't even really care. I was crying with tears in my eyes, and I prayed to the heavens, or God at the time, or whoever it was, and I said, please let this sibling of mine get cancer and die. And my other sibling overheard me and said, how can you say that? And I said, I mean it, every bit of the word, because that's how far that sibling pushed me. And it wasn't just on that day, but it has been for years and months and whatever it was, and still to this day that sibling is still playing out the same kind of antics, the same kind of behavior, same kind of actions. And now I can stand up for myself. But I can't really. I can just scream and shout because for them it just falls on deaf ears. They're mute. Like when I was explaining to my sibling, when they phoned me back and they said, why did you blast out at me like that? I'm just trying to, whatever it was. I said, I can't talk to you because you can't understand what I'm trying to say to you. You know. And they said, no, I really want to know. I said, no, you don't want to know. And when I tried to explain to them, they obviously just weaseled out of it. Type of thing. So I didn't get anywhere, so I thought. And then they started getting cross with me because they thought like I was just trying to be difficult and I don't know what I was trying to do. But then I realized there's no communication here. You know, just can't. This person can't be reached. And not only that, at the same time, they're gaslighting me. They undermining me. They're disrespecting me even further by asking me, like they pretending to be genuine. Saying, what's the problem here? What did I do wrong? And I'm telling them, and they're still telling me that I'm talking rubbish, I'm talking nonsense, I'm being oversensitive or too emotional. So I'm like, well, what can I, you know? So I'm feeling in myself, I'm saying, you won't do that to me. I know what you're trying to do. Even though you don't know what you're trying to do, I know what you're trying to do. And I won't fall for it. I'll honor the way that I feel. Okay? And I know what I know is true. And so you can't mess with me. You can't mess with me. And so there's a breakdown in communication. There's a breakdown in relationship, in understanding one another. Yeah. And that's how it is. So what do we do with it? It's for myself. I try nothing to do with this individual, with these kind of individuals. I rather have no one in my life than have these kind of individuals in my life because it's absolutely toxic. It's absolutely toxic. It's dangerous to your well-being, whether it be financially, your physical, your mental, your spiritual, your psychological, whatever, from every angle. From every angle, it's destructive. Yeah, you know, it's just... And so that's the thing, is that you try and have nothing to do with them. Try and have nothing to do with them. And then I love the guilt that comes from sort of other family members. Be like, no, they're your sibling, they're your blood. I said, well, does your blood treat you this way? And so what if they're your blood? So what? That's what I say. So what? Who cares? Right? What does that mean? What does that mean? That I must dishonor myself? That I must make an exception to the rule to be involved in this toxic individual's life, who the only thing they know how to do is betray me, is sabotage me, is ridicule me, is patronize me, is disempower me, is confuse me, is manipulate me, because they're my blood? What the hell does that mean? I don't buy that for a second. I don't buy it for a second, folks. I'm not interested in that shite. If they happen to change their ways and whatever it is, then that's fine, absolutely. It's a darn pity that, you know, being siblings and being blood, that it has to come to terms to this. But you know, when someone's not dealing with their shadow and they're not dealing with their ego and whatever, they're not doing their own self-growth, and they're a murdered individual in a way, they're self-murdered. You know, there's nothing authentic about them. You know, and they're dangerous, and you must make an exception for them because they're blood, because it's a family. Come and do me a favor. That's ridiculous. That's like saying, well, it's okay to drink cyanide because it's in a milk carton. Oh, yes, that's not a problem. Do me a favor. So yeah, it's just amazing. It's also just amazing how sometimes, and for some of you folks out there who may experience this, that like you might have one or two moments with family members in your life, or friends in your life, or people in your life, and you connect and you feel that they do have your best interest in mind, or they do care for you, right? They're concerned for your well-being. You might have those moments, but it's a passing phase. And it's not to be thought of as that this is the ultimate situation of your relationship. This is where your relationship really is. And this is what it's not like that at all. People are so disfragmented or fragmented they're so disassociated, right? That it's just parts of them. It's just a moment in time that where you'll get sort of a bit of their beauty, a bit of their love that comes around for just a moment, but it's just a blink of an eye. That individual can't maintain that beauty, that love, that presence, that authenticity. They can't. They just have a moment of it and then it goes. And so don't get caught up with thinking just because you have a moment with them that this will last. And you can consider this a safe place and a real relationship. Don't be fooled by that. Right? Let their actions speak louder than words, and don't make excuses for their actions just because it's a family member or just because it's somebody who's in your life who, you in a situation that you can't get out of, and therefore you must be gaslighted. Don't be fooled by that. Alright folks, much more to be said on that, perhaps a part 2. Appreciate you taking the time. Thank you for listening and being there. Much appreciated. Take care.